Hello again. It's been a while. I haven't done a video in quite some time, so I thought today would be a good day for that. I've got this Nintendo Switch Lite that just came in for repair today, so let's take a look at this one and go through the repair. This Switch Lite came in for joystick replacement. You can see here it's completely missing its left joystick and the right one is missing its cap. So let's tear this console down and get those replaced. I have some brand new joystick replacements right here, so we'll get those installed. So to begin, we're going to choose our Phillips screwdriver. We'll get the 4 Phillips screwdrivers out of the top and bottom of the console. This console does power on and work, so this is just going to be the joysticks today. So we want to make sure that there's no SD card in there. There is, so let's pop this SD card out. Okay, once those 4 screws have been removed, let's get our tri-wing bit and remove the 4 tri-wing screws on the back. So while I'm tearing this down, I thought I might talk a little bit about the beginning of GameOver.tech. Where did it all begin? Which is kind of tough. The earliest kind of memory that I have concerning like taking game consoles apart and modifying them or repairing them would have been probably my original PlayStation. My dad taught me how to solder way back then because we put a mod chip in our PlayStation. Wish I still had that thing, but it's gone. And then as far as repairing consoles goes, it's a little bit later in life, probably somewhere around 2006, 7 or so. Yeah, it's kind of dirty. So what really got me started on this this journey was the Red Ring of Death on my Xbox 360. I had an Xbox 360, like many of you. Mine failed, so I sent it into Microsoft to get a repair. Unbeknownst to me at the time, Microsoft didn't repair your console and send it back to you. They sent you somebody else's console that they refurbished. That wasn't cool with me. When I got a different console back, I was displeased. So I remembered that. And not long after, the replacement console that I was shipped also got the Red Ring of Death. This time I wasn't about to send that into Microsoft because I didn't want to get somebody else's used, repaired, refurbished console. Another ticking time bomb. So my approach was to figure out how to fix this myself. In the early days of repairing Red Rings, it was kind of ugly. I'm not going to say that we did it the right way. But I absolutely was the guy who would use a heat gun and reflow the solder on the chips inside the Xbox 360. Before long, I'd fashioned my own preheater out of an old griddle and drilled holes through there and made standoffs in the perfect places for all of the mounts on an Xbox 360 board. So I would preheat and reflow the best I was able to, and it worked. I was bringing consoles back to life, so I kind of started doing that for my friends. And then of course similar problems were happening with the PlayStation. And this just kind of snowballed into something that I was doing a lot for a lot of people. And before long, I kind of figured a better approach to doing it. I ended up getting a rework station. And I did a little more of a professional job with the reflows. And that eventually led to doing reballs, which is a lot of work. It was really intimidating, and I broke a lot of consoles learning how to do that. You should have seen my basement back then. I had dozens and dozens of Xbox 360s that were just parts consoles, just carcasses. And then, of course, there was a modding scene with the 360 and all of that. So anything to have to do with video game consoles and a soldering iron, I was pretty much involved in it. And that just kind of built over time. And eventually I decided I would start a business where I would solely just repair video game consoles. And that kind of, I did it out of my home for a while. I would repair handhelds and basically all consoles. And then eventually, I opened it up and got a storefront and started doing it publicly inside my local downtown. That store lasted for a couple years, and for reasons that were out of my control, I had to close the store down. Lost the revenue, couldn't keep it running any longer, not without incurring a large amount of debt, which I really wasn't wanting to do. I was operating that business without any debt, and I wasn't about to take on a bunch of debt just to keep it alive. So I decided to close that store, and now I work out of my home office, and I have a partnership there with Harvey Brothers Gaming here in Kenton, where the people can, check in consoles like this one. And that was enough of a story to get us down to the left Joy-Con, which was the one that's more broken than the other one. I've actually never seen one broken quite that bad. But we'll get this out of here. There we go. That's the broken unit. And we want to set this in the same orientation. As you can see, this ribbon cable plugs in here, so we'll screw this in. There we go. Get this ribbon cable back out of the way. See, this is the easy one. The other side, you got to take off the main motherboard there. This console has a lot of hair in it. Must be a pet owner. You can tell a lot about a person by taking apart their electronics, I'll tell you that. You can especially tell right away if the person is a smoker. And if they're inside their home, that's the worst thing you can do for a video game console. Not so good for your health either. Try to get some of this debris out of here. I'm just using some isopropyl rubbing alcohol. I'm going to clear out the debris that was underneath this D-pad. We'll put the D-pad back in. Okay. While we're here, I'll go ahead and just do a little bit of scrubbing. Oops, sprayed a little bit out. I'll clean up this trigger button a little bit. It's kind of grody. I can clean the outer portion of the button after I get it reassembled, but this part you want to do now. You can't clean it once you get it back together. Yo, look at this. Yuck. I don't know if this is from like eating while you're playing or what, but I don't know how you get that much goop down into your bumpers. I suppose you could just have the console laying somewhere or in a drawer or something. I guess it could collect all kinds of stuff that way. That's pretty gross. This is why I wear gloves. I have no idea what I'm cleaning off of here. Okay. Well, that's better than it was. Okay. There's a place for the spring here. We got to make sure we push that spring down where it belongs. Rest that bumper button in there. Now this is supposed to go here. Oh, wait to put that on because it goes on top. Okay, now I already made a mistake there. I should have been a little more careful because we need this ribbon cable up and out of here. The other one you can kind of fish it out like this. There we go. Some of this stuff off of my mat. Okay. So I can plug those ribbon cables in now, but I'm going to plug them in a moment here. We'll get some other stuff plugged in. Okay, and there's a little track that this ribbon cable sits in. And this board sits right in its track as well. Okay. So typically I lay these screws out a little better so I know exactly where they go. So I'm going to work off of memory here and put them back where I believe they go. There we go. What did I mess up? No, it's here. I didn't mess up anything. Thought I had pinched another ribbon cable down underneath, but no, I'm holding it in my hand. Okay, so this side is screwed into place. Let's make sure the little door's up on your ribbon cable connector. We'll use the two tabs on the side, push it in, and push the little door down. There we go. Same with this one. This is the ribbon cable for the joystick we just installed. Okay, it must be seated all the way. Then we have the speakers. Very tiny. They can be hard to plug in with gloves. So I'll just use my tweezers. Maybe. Struggling here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to route this ribbon cable back up where it belongs. I kind of pulled it out. Carefully now, we don't want to damage it. Oh, you know, that's why. I got ahead of myself. Let's pull this back up. There's one more screw on it. There. This is supposed to go like this. There we go. It's easier to do that than to try to route it back in where I was originally trying to do. There we go. Carefully reinstall this ribbon cable as well. Lower the latch. Okay. So this side is done. Now, there's a lot more involved into this side. This joystick is located right under the speaker on this side, but this is all one board, so we have to remove everything. So I'm going to be a little more cautious on this one. I'm going to lay the screws out in the pattern in which they came out. So let's start by opening the ribbon cables. Let's get this one out of here and disconnect the battery. There we go. We'll lift up on these. Okay. Those ribbon cables will just wait. We'll get to those. So I'm going to kind of start at the top, work my way down into it. So I'm going to start by removing the heatsink and the fan here. Which is also going to lead me to taking out the cartridge reader because the last screw to the fan is underneath here. I try not to separate the heatsink from the fan. Sometimes you do kind of have to do that, but it looks like on the light we may have to do that. Let's see if I can get my screwdriver around it. There we go. I was able to get that out of there. Okay, now it is connected with a ribbon cable back here, so let's pop the latch. Unplug that ribbon. Okay. So these screws are for the fan and the heatsink. Now we're going to get the cartridge slot reader out of here. Excuse me for just a second. Sorry about that. Continue on. Now all of these screws are the same, so it doesn't really matter if you get them mixed up. As long as you know where they go. There you go. Alright, then this plastic pry tool. Carefully unplug that, and then we can set that off to the side. While I'm here, I got the pry tool in my hand. I'm going to free up the LCD, ribbon cable, and the digitizer as well. Get those unplugged. Okay, trigger, you're next. Let's get those screws moved over. Okay, we're not too far away. We just have the charging port screws, the speaker. This is our ribbon cable that leads to the joystick that we're going to replace. Okay, so we got the charger port screws, the screw for the motherboard up here. This is a long one. Okay. I think I can leave those two screws in it. But the motherboard should lift out of here now, unless I'm forgetting something. Okay. Now let's take out There's the broken one and the new one. So let's make sure we've got this the right direction. Okay, it's reassembly time. Going back to the story of I'd been kind of like riding along and just doing repairs into hardware, but recently I've decided it's time to kind of grow a little bit. So, which is also why I'm making videos now again. I think it's time to get back on the horse and start working on this business and get it to grow a little bit. So I'm working on a couple things behind the scenes, so I'm hoping that you guys can stay interested and follow me. And you'll see some interesting things happening. Can't say too much just yet, but hoping for some big news to come out in the near future. We did open up recently to start taking in mail-ins, so if anyone is watching that's not local to our area, you can visit us online at www.GameOver.tech. And there are instructions there on how to mail in your console. And we do have a separate mail-in queue specifically for the mail-in requests. Prices are a little different when you mail in, because you are going to be expected to pay the shipping both directions. Unfortunately, I can't really eat all of those fees, so the customer will pay to ship and have it returned, but we are happy to, fix your stuff and get it sent back to you. And you do get a warranty. Everyone gets a 30-day warranty with their repair, and that is loose shortly after that 30-day window. Let me know, and I'll be happy to review what happened and let you know if it's something that I'm still willing to cover, but that hasn't really had to happen. Seldom do I get a warranty repair back. Oftentimes it's just for silly. Like, I did get a repair back where I just simply didn't have a ribbon cable plugged in all the way. Something like that, where it'll work fine during testing and then the customer will come home and something won't work. So, I do take care of you, and I follow up. So if you need something fixed, I'd like to be a trustworthy repair shop. Let's get this trigger button put back. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to plug in these ribbon cables. These are the fragile ones. You got to be really careful with these ribbon cables and the ribbon cable connectors. These connectors can be replaced. I have done it before. Not very fun, so to speak, but if you're not careful, they are easy to break. But if that happens to you, bring it to me. I can fix that. I actually keep parts in stock for that too. Thankfully, I don't have to use them too often, but if you ever buy a part for something, you may as well buy several parts and keep an inventory. So, I do have an inventory of parts for just about every game console. As well as, I have a bunch of actual parts consoles too. So, if there are like parts that you don't order per se, or that aren't easy to find, I do have parts units that I can pick from to make things work as needed. So that's another benefit from doing this for several years. I've repaired over 1,000 consoles at this point. And even so, you still make little mistakes, just like that one. I swear I put that in. It must have fallen off as I was installing it. Better to see it now than later on. Okay, now that's in its proper place. Okay, now we're going to kind of go in reverse order here. I'll plug in this joystick before that gets overlooked or forgotten. So I'm only human. I'll turn this around to get a little better grip on that. Must be seated in there. Okay. This one we'll do very last. I can go ahead and plug these down. Okay, make sure that's tucked down where it won't get pinched when I reassemble it. Okay. Here with the Switch, you don't necessarily have to replace that. If you do replace it, you totally can use something like Arctic MX4. Definitely not going to hurt it, but this stuff's a little more runny, a little more messy than what comes in the unit. It is kind of like a tacky to use in the factory, so you can actually re-spread that out. I like to just kind of put it back in the center and mash it down when I put the heatsink on. Okay. Whoops. Man, that's the worst if you fling a screw across the room and you lose it. Happens all the time. Another reason why it's good to have parts console. Lose the screw so badly you can't find it. Sometimes you gotta go to the parts bin and get you one from another console. Okay. Cartridge slot. Plugged back in. In the larger Switch model, this cartridge slot comes out with, I think, 3 screws. Got a lot more screws in this one. Okay. So now it's time for the heatsink and fan to go back on. So I'm going to take the existing thermal putty that we have here, just kind of push it back towards the middle. This way when I put the heatsink on, we'll mash it down and it will spread. Yeah, it's not really worth picking all of that out of there. Okay, first things first, we have to get this reinstalled. Let's get the ribbon cable into its connector. Kind of slides under the board, there we go. And draw it back. The seat itself, it wants to twist. There we go. It's in, so I'm going to latch that down. And I'm going to start with this screw down here. Then I'll come around with this screw. Something's not right. That fan's not sitting down properly. Let me check. There's something in the way. There we go. I'll start with this one this time. Okay, pull that fan down to where it belongs. Okay. Get this heat pipe moved over just enough to get my driver in there. Okay, I was able to do that without breaking that free. So now this is where we kind of push this down, and that spreads out that thermal putty underneath the heat sink, and we'll screw it. Okay, just make sure these are snug. You don't want to over tighten these. That can actually cause problems too. So we're to a stage where we can test. So I'm going to put power back on the console. I've always disliked how you have to hook the battery up before you can put this ribbon cable on. Alright, there we go. So we'll power the console on. Okay, we got both joysticks seem to be working, so that's good for me. And I'm going to power it back down. We're going to go to power options, turn off. Okay, then we'll put the shield back on. Looks like this console has gotten wet at some point. There's just some yucky kind of corrosion starting on the shield. Okay, and then we have one more long screw. Looking good. Let's go ahead and put the outer case back onto the console. Just kind of snaps around and into place. Of course, before I do that, I want to make sure this board is sitting where it's supposed to sit. Okay. Oh, we got one spot here. There we go. Okay, and that's where it was broken before it came in, unfortunately. Okay. I'm going to start with these. Oh, those are not metallic. Looks like we lost one of them here. This is like one of the tabs that we're supposed to be screwing through here to hold it in place. Losing one may not even be noticeable at all. Okay, back to the tri-wing driver. There we go. So this repair didn't require any soldering, so we do half of our typical labor cost on standard repairs like this one that don't require any soldering. If it's got to hit the other workbench, the price goes up for the added labor and basically the tools and everything that are required to do that type of work. The most common repair that I get, by far, HDMI ports. Well, I found where that, where this came from. It came from this hole. I'll still put the screw in, but I don't know that this one's going to be doing much. There we go. This is where it was also cracked previously, so there was some pre-existing damage going on in that section. Alright, let's put the SD card back in it. Can't pick that up with gloves on. Okay, get my cleaner out. See if we can get some of these yuckies off of it. Oh, that looks a lot better already. It does have some pretty serious scratches on it. But we can get
GameOver.tech. Resurrect.
okay.
GameOver.tech. Not over yet. Resurrect.
And there you have it. Another successful repair from GameOver.tech. Thanks for watching.